They say in life, it's about the journey, not the destination. Well, I'm here to tell you that the destination's pretty freaking awesome. After all, it's where you enjoy the fruits of your labor and your reward for all the pain that you endured. Of course, the journey was pretty cool too.
Oh, hello. Yeah, I'm here in beautiful Arizona, the Grand Canyon, and I'm taking in the sights. You know, smelling the fresh air and looking at the beautiful Grand Canyon walls, and boy, is it amazing.
Someone had the grand idea to put a bench in this spot so you can enjoy the waterfall, but you won't find a view like this in your neighborhood park. No, sir. To see this view, it's going to take some effort. Roll the credits. Nestled right smack in the middle of what seems to be a harsh desert in the northern part of Arizona is an oasis. It's nature's version of a water park, and man could not manufacture a place so perfect. But it takes effort to get there, so let's start from the beginning. There are many options to get to Havasupai Falls, but none compares to getting there under your own steam. The hike to the falls is mostly downhill, but that doesn't seem to make the hike any more easy. I actually didn't realize the hike to Havasupai was downhill until it was time to hike out. With colorful canyon walls to keep your attention, you will be anything but bored on your hike down. I personally couldn't help but snap photos every chance I got because there are so many photo opportunities. It literally took me 7 hours to complete the hike to Havasupai Falls campground because I took so many photos. The hike can be a solitary one. At least when I went. I would occasionally pass hikers on their way out. They would offer words of encouragement about how far you were from the village. It was never quite as close as they made it out to be. And then there were the packing mules doing their typical 9-to-5 job of running up and down the canyon. Many people say these mules are abused. I don't know for certain, but it's probably not an exaggeration. I've seen a few mules with sores from hauling out people's gear. I couldn't help but get excited when I started to see signs of water. Havasu Creek will give you renewed energy upon seeing it because you know that you are almost there. Almost there.
Well, we made it to the village. 8-mile trek. It's only 3 miles left, and then we'll be at the campground. So, I'm gonna go check in at the village, maybe get some ice cream, cool off a little bit, and then find our campsite. 10 miles later, we are finally here. The hike was hell, but it's well worth it. We're gonna pitch up our tents and relax, go hang out at the pool and just cool off, man, because we are worn out. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, Havasupai Falls. This is what we came for.
Headed into camp, we encountered the tribal dog and more mules packing stuff in. It's best not to get in the way when these mules are on a mission. They tend to freak out. Be sure to allow them a clear path. After setting up camp, it was time to just sit down and relax. Hammock camping is definitely the way to go after hiking for hours. Our campsite was simple, but it served its purpose.
So spent my first night here at Havasupai, and we are now recovered and recuperated from the treacherous hiking. 11 miles with a 40-pound backpack, so we're pretty tired. So we just set up camp and went to sleep. So now we're going to go check out two waterfalls. We're going to check out Havasupai Falls, which is the main waterfall, and Mooney Falls a little bit later after that. So let's get to it.
Supai Falls, of course, is the main attraction, and it's every bit amazing seeing it in person as it is on video. Once you make the hike into camp, getting to the falls takes no effort. It's a matter of walking down a small hill, and then you'll find yourself immersed in paradise. This is your first impression upon approaching the waterfall. The water is quite inviting, and for the most part swimmable year-round, although you will find it a bit chilly in the winter time. I went during the spring, and it took me a minute to adapt. The water was quite chilly, and I struggled to acclimate to the temperature. Eventually, I manned up and got in, but it took me a minute. For reasons unknown, I decided to get in the water at another spot. This place is good for just lounging and talking to your friends. The water is quite calm here. So I eased myself in and adjusted to the chilly temperatures. See, that wasn't so bad. The water was cool in the month of April. I can't imagine what it feels like in February.
Now that's some cold water.
After spending a couple of hours goofing off at Havasupai Falls, it was time to move on to Mooney Falls. This waterfall is amazing, although it's not really swimmable. But then again, it's not entirely about the waterfall. It's the journey there that makes this place so kick-ass. In a minute, you will see exactly what I mean.
All right. Next, we're headed to Mooney Falls. This is a spectacular waterfall. It's not really swimmable, and it has a strong undertow when the water falls, so you definitely don't want to get caught into that.
So we set out to get up close and personal with Mooney Falls. But to do that, we had to descend 190 feet to get to the base. This hike is not for the faint of heart. It doesn't really get too sketchy until the last portion of the path, and that's only because the spray from the waterfall makes everything wet and slippery. The path is pretty straightforward, so you will have no problem following the trail. When you make this trip, make sure you have a solid pair of shoes. This is definitely not a trip to make with flip-flops on. One of the things I could not get over is the damnedest things you encounter on the way down, such as this picnic table. Would you want to be the guy carrying something like this down here? You see that sign there? I started to wonder how many people have fallen at Mooney Falls. I did make a half-ass effort to research it, but you gotta think, if they felt the need to put a sign up, you know someone has fallen a time or two.
We're about to make our descent down to Mooney Falls. We're going right down there. This descent is no joke. It's pretty intense. Take a look at this tunnel. This is the only way down into the tunnel, and I'm about to make my descent into it. Keep going. Definitely get dirty.
While researching how many people have fallen to their peril here at Mooney Falls, I did stumble upon an interesting story. I read that the waterfall was named after James Mooney, who died there while attempting to find a way down to the base of the waterfall. The story goes that a Native American was found wearing Mooney's boots after he had died. The Native Americans showed Mooney's party how he got down to Mooney's lime-crusted body through a series of natural tunnels, the same tunnels I travel through today. They have since widened the tunnels, of course, and the current trail to the base of the waterfall is pretty much the same as it was back then. The trek through the tunnels is pretty short, so you won't need a flashlight to pass through.
Wow, I know you guys can't see me in this tunnel, but I'm sure you can see this waterfall. This thing is amazing.
It's at this point, once you leave the tunnel, is where the trail starts to get dicey. The steep descent, people ascending, slippery ropes and chains made for a bad combination and spelled potential for disaster. Unfortunately, we were going down to Mooney Falls when everyone was going up. I felt like a fish swimming upstream.
We're stuck in traffic. It's like being back home in Seattle. Mad rush to go up the mountain and we're trying to go down. Just like being home.
Here's a really good look at the most challenging part of the trail. Once you clear this part, the rest of the hike is a piece of cake. I finally made it down to the bottom. Now it was time to enjoy the freshness of the water spraying from the fall. As I made my way closer, I could really feel the power of nature. Seeing the waterfall up close really gave me a good understanding why the undertow was so strong. This is not a waterfall you want to stand underneath, unless you want it to be your last. On a random note, and in case you're wondering why the water here has that beautiful turquoise color, it's because of the lime deposits here.
Alright, so we just did a short visit to Mooney Falls. We're starting to lose light, and the pathway down here is not some place you want to be at nighttime because there's not a whole lot of light. And these ladders are really slippery. So I'm going to head up and then see you up top. Alright, so we just descended and ascended Mooney Falls, and it was amazing. Should have come down here much earlier though. Now we're starting to lose light. And the bridges, the ladders and the chains are kind of sketchy. The waterfall is so powerful, it's all wet and muddy. Something you must do when you have some high, you gotta go check out the waterfall. And just over there, maybe about 3.5 miles from Beaver Falls, another waterfall that is a pretty tough hike. But we made it back in one piece, so we head back and have some dinner and pack up and head out. Good job.